sisters. It's Friday. Friday Live. I see some people beginning to hop on, which is so great. If you're here, please say hi. I always love interacting with people when people are actually here live. It really helps me feel like I'm not talking to a void. Hello. I hope we're all having a good day. Today is kind of an exciting day for me because I am, after this, spending the entire afternoon working with a professional designer to help me design and launch a new website and a new sales page for my program. So I'm so excited because I just love design and artsy fartsy stuff, and it's kind of fun to put on that hat for a little bit this afternoon and get the help from a seasoned designer. So I'm excited to unveil that and show that to you all when the time comes. Hello. I can only see one person's name. I can only see Stephanie's name. If you haven't enabled StreamYard, I won't be able to see your actual names. I can just see it says Facebook user and then your comments. But anyway, it's so good to have you here. We're tackling the subject today of pain because it comes up a lot. It just comes up a lot. I think it's kind of like one of the top of mind concerns, like when we first start thinking about having a natural birth at all, but maybe especially a home birth, one of the first kind of thoughts or fears that kind of rears up and comes in is like, but how am I going to handle that? But it's going to hurt, And it is by far not the primary thing to consider when you're having a natural birth. It's in the grand scheme of things, it's probably actually one of the least important parts to prepare for. I know that might be a weird thing to say. I'm not saying it's not important. It is, and we do need to tackle it, especially because if it is a top of mind present concern, until we work through that concern, we can't get through to the other side of it to prepare for the things that really do matter the most. So we're going to go there. We have to talk about it, but in the grand scheme of things, this is really a pretty small part of the puzzle. And so I just wanted to preface by saying that. So when we're planning a natural birth in the hospital, of course, we have the benefit of knowing that if it turns out to be too much for us, we can still get the epidural, right? There's the out, there's the button we can push to say, I'm done. I've had enough of trying to manage this naturally. And so please bring in the drugs. But when we're at a home birth, at least for now, midwives can't carry epidurals into your house. That's not an option. Nor can they carry in Stadol and some of those other hardcore pharmaceutical pain relievers that are offered in hospital settings. So we have to face the pain part head on if we're going to have a home birth. That's just the way it is. So I had a few notes. I don't prepare for these things super well in the sense that I don't have a beautiful outline with slides for you, but I do have some thoughts. So, okay. The first thing is, I just said how it's hard when we're at a home birth because we don't have the out of the epidural. We don't have that option. But on the flip side of that, being at home, choosing the location of home for our birth has a really positive effect on the question of pain, actually. No, we can't call in drugs if we get tired of managing it naturally, but the location itself is the first step in our pain relief management techniques. Here's what I mean by that. Home is a safe place for most women. It's a place where we are fully comfortable. We can let our hair down. We can be ourselves. We can wear whatever we want, move however we want, go wherever we want, go through all of our normal, typical, familiar, nurturing motions at home. So that means in labor, we can ignore stuff for a while and just keep going through business, making meals, tending to the kids, playing around in the garden, weeding, whatever we need to do. We just can keep moving. And that distraction alone, the ability to not be stuck in a small room where we have only it's like being in a cage in a zoo. We only have a small space to move around in. There's nothing to distract us. All that we can think about is the sensations in our body. It's or maybe we can watch the TV. I don't know. What can you do to distract yourself from pain in a hospital room? There's not really that many options. Whereas at home, we have a lot of options for distracting ourselves from pain and pretending it's not happening and going through the motions. Moving around is a really important piece of navigating pain. If you think about when you get hurt, say you stub your toe, you move, right? We instinctively move when we have pain. we move into positions that seek comfort. And so having plenty of space to move and nobody telling us how we can and cannot move at home is a big deal. Furthermore, our experience of pain is largely psychological. We feel more pain the more unsafe we feel and the less support we have. And if we're in a mode where we're having to defend ourselves, have arguments with doctors about what they can and can't do to us, if we are like just out of our element and we just feel unsafe, like if we're worried like COVID is going to come into the room at any second, or like we're going to get a bad OB or a nurse who's mean, like all these things that happen in hospitals that often can lead us to feeling unsafe and at ease, not relaxed, and more on guard and in fight mode. That creates the situation where the hormones coursing through our body are stress hormones, and stress hormones accentuate our experience of pain. But when we are safe, and we know we're safe, and we know we're trusted, and we trust everyone around us, which at a home birth, we can choose who's around us. So we can make sure that every person who's around us at home is somebody that we trust and we feel safe with. We can relax in their presence entirely. Those hormones of endorphins and oxytocin created by the feeling of safety and security and trust decrease the experience of pain. They are nature's pain relievers. So just by choosing to be home, you are already setting yourself up to be more able to tolerate the painful sensations of birth. So it's a backwards thing, right? We think, oh, at home it's going to be so much harder because there's no pain relief. But no, at home it's going to be easier because nature's pain relief is going to be present to you. So that's the first thing I want to make sure that we really talk about. It's kind of like the wrong question even to be saying, how am I going to handle the pain at home? Because the chances are going to handle it a lot better at home. Okay, the other thing is, and this is an acronym that I did not make up. I don't know where it originated from, but I find it incredibly helpful. Let's take the word pain and break it down into an acronym. P. P is for purposeful. The pain that we experience in birth is unlike any other pain that we experience. And I'm going to talk about through this acronym. I'm going to tell you how. So pain, like when we have a sinus infection that's really nasty, or if we get cut badly and we're bleeding, if we're bruised, if we're like these things that we're like, I'm such a baby when I'm sick or hurt, like I have such a low pain tolerance. Okay, you might be a total wuss when you have a sinus infection. You might just cry your eyes out when you have a little ache and pain. Okay, but labor pain is fundamentally different, and here's how. It is purposeful is the official acronym answer. Purposeful. So the pain that we experience in birth has a purpose. And its purpose is not to warn us that something's wrong. Its purpose is to bring our babies out of us, which is a pretty great purpose. Like we're in alignment with that purpose. Of course, we want our babies to come out. It's working for us towards the purpose of getting our babies out of our uterus and into our arms, which is what we want. So we can say, thank you, pain. You are doing for me and with me, working with me to do something that I really, really want and need right now. So, wow, that really changes the way we look at it, doesn't it? And I add a second P. It's productive. It is producing a desired result. So it's purposeful and productive. Those are the P's. A, anticipated. We know it's coming. It's not surprising us. It's not like hitting us out of left field. It's not like we're walking through our yard and our kid hits a softball with a bat and it hits us in the head and we're shocked and surprised. And like the surprise element makes us tense up and feel fear and pain, right? Labor pain is anticipated. We know it's going to come. It's just going to be here. We know it. And so because we know it, we can ready ourselves for it. We can get some tools in our tool belt so that with each wave of pain, we can anticipate it and work with it. We're not going to be caught off guard by it. It's not here to scare us and like jump out of the corner and say boo at us, you know? It's anticipated. The I is for intermittent, meaning unlike most kinds of pain, it's ebbs and flows. So again, if you think about when you're injured or when you are like have a toothache, that pain is constant usually. It might throb, but it's constant. Labor pain always ebbs and flows. It's guaranteed that it's going to ebb and flow. It's going to like work up slowly, hit a peak, come down, you're going to have a break. And in early labor, that break is long. And as you get closer to the end, it gets shorter. It's usually 1 minute apart, possibly 30 seconds when you're in transition, but you still have the break. It's still intermittent. So you can always catch your breath. So one of my favorite affirmations for birth and labor is, I can do anything for 1 minute. For that 1 minute of the crescendo, you can do it. For 1 minute, you can do anything. And then the N in the pain acronym is for normal. This pain is normal. It's not happening because something's wrong. It's happening because this is what our uteruses do when we're having babies. It's just normal. And then there's no T in pain, but this is an important one too. Pain in labor is temporary. Guaranteed to be temporary. You don't have to sit there and wonder if you're always going to be in pain the rest of your life. But I know I've suffered from headaches a little bit recently, and sometimes I'm like, day 3 of a headache, I'm like, what if this is my life? What if I'm going to have a headache forever? What if this never ends and I have to learn how to live with chronic headache pain? Or if you've dealt with any kind of chronic illness, you don't know if it's going to end. That's awful. But labor pain will end, sisters. It will end when your baby comes out. And for some of us who have really bad after pains, it might last a little longer until after pains are over too, but it will end. It is temporary. So by the time you think of that as pain as being purposeful, productive, anticipated, intermittent, normal, and temporary, that allows us to interact with pain in a completely different way. It allows us to see the pain as a friend that's working with us. It's doing something for us that we want. It's not an enemy. It's not a thing to run away from or hide from or try to avoid. No, oh, thank you. Thank you for doing all that for me. It takes, for me, it really removes the fear and dread from it when I can think about pain in that way. And in fact, this leads me into my next point. It almost becomes irrelevant to call it pain anymore. It's not really helpful to call it pain because it is so fundamentally different than any other kind of pain that we experience in our lives. So what if we need a new word for that? Now, Ina May Gaskin was famous for calling them, what did she call them? Rushes, I think. Rushes or waves. That's one way. I like the word sensations. They're sensations. Just like I experience a sensation when I have to poop or a sensation when I'm hungry. It's just your body having a feeling that comes along with a specific muscle group doing intense work. It's exertion. It's work. It can be intense, but it's a sensation. Maybe we don't have to call it pain anymore. And so it can sound at first like, what silliness, you just can't just stop calling it pain. You just call it what it is. It's painful. And I'm like, no, words matter. Words matter. And in our society, we have so many negative associations with the word pain. It's to be avoided at all costs. There's a million painkillers out there in the market, right? So if we can stop using the word pain, then we can detach what we're going through, what we're actually experiencing in our bodies. We can detach that from all the negative associations that our society gives us about pain and let it be what it is, which is something quite different, really. So much of this, I hope you're hearing me, so much of this is a mindset thing. You're going to find there's tips and tricks out there, squeeze a comb and for as hard as you can, or put your hand in ice water. I've heard people do that. See if you can immerse your hand in ice water and breathe through it for a whole minute. Just simulate living through a contraction. Okay, sure, fine. That's some physical training and it might have some value. And if you feel like it's helpful for you to do some of those things, by all means, go ahead. But it starts up here. It absolutely 100% starts in your head. So much of life starts in your mindset. And another piece of that mindset for me, and I've had to whisper this to many a woman during labor, sometimes you can see in labor a woman tensing up with a contraction, and clenching her butt cheeks, clenching her thighs together. It's like this, you can see her almost trying to get away from it. Maybe if I can get out of it. And I've had to lean in and say, lean into it, move into the pain. Move into it. It's your friend. Work with it. Don't run away from it. Don't run away from it. Which is psychological, but that plays itself out in our body motions and postures. You have to what does it mean to move into pain and let it be present, to welcome it like a friend and not run away from it, not try to escape it. It means that when that intense sensation is happening in your pelvis, you breathe and you choose to relax your thigh muscles, relax your butt, relax your hands, drop your jaw. You say, and I literally have said this inside of my own heart during labor, you're welcome here. Thank you for being here. I say yes to this sensation. I'm not going to run away from it. It's powerful. It's powerful. That slight difference is so powerful. And also breath, breathing, and welcoming Jesus into that space is super helpful too. So I'm not going to lie, even though I really do firmly believe, and even though I would not classify my last several births as painful, like genuinely, I wouldn't. And I don't think that that's like the highest goal of birth, to pursue and to have a pain-free birth. I actually did a whole different live about that. It's not the highest and best goal for us to have a pain-free birth. There's other better goals. But it is possible to have a birth that's not primarily painful. But even in my births that I wouldn't describe primarily as painful, there were moments that were so intense that it felt like it started to tip into pain. And those are the moments where we need to know, like, how do we cope with that when the sensations start to feel bigger than us? We can know that it's our body and it's not actually bigger than us, and we can trust our body that it's doing good work. But then also breathing and relaxing into those moments and calling in Jesus. Well, not calling him in, he's already there. That's the wrong phrase. Acknowledging his presence with something as simple as like, Jesus, I trust you. Jesus, I trust you. Or one Bible verse that I really loved during my third birth was, for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. The joy set before him was us. And he endured the cross and all the suffering and the pain of that experience so that he could have us, which is so beautiful. We get to do that. We get to be like Christ in his suffering, and we get to say yes to this. I say yes to this suffering because I have this joy set before me, which is this precious life that the Father has given me and to raise and to love. So for that joy that's right in front of me, I'm going to endure this pain and this suffering. It's not going to last forever. I can do this. Jesus is with me in this. He's so close to us in our suffering. Like, if your labor does turn into pain and suffering for some reason, if there is that element, you're not doing something wrong. Like, hear me, you're not doing something wrong. That is just a place where Jesus was going to be so close to you. Like, he's so close to us in our suffering and pain. Like, it can be an opportunity to experience the sufficient grace of Jesus in ways you never have before. And if he doesn't completely eliminate your pain, it's not because he doesn't love you. No, because we're told in scripture that we get to partake with him in his glory if we also partake with him in his suffering. So there's some gifts for us in that. If we can stop deciding that pain equals bad and pain equals I'm doing something wrong. And we can receive it as one of the many ways that the Father might choose to minister to us and give us more of himself. So start with your mindset shift and see if you might find that pain isn't even a thing, like you don't even have it. But if you do have it, you're not doing something wrong. This is just the way that the Father is choosing to give himself to you in this birth. Okay. I think that's all I want to say today. Radical acceptance. That was the other thing. Radical acceptance in any area where we're struggling is a gateway to less suffering. Let me give you a non-birth example. Okay. Let's think. I have a child who has like a really annoying trait, like a habit they tend to do all the time that like drives me nuts and can make me think like, I need to fix this. I have to fix it. It's not okay. I can't live with this anymore. What if instead I chose to say, okay, that's just how she is. And God made her that way. She's still growing. She's still in process. I accept her exactly as she is right now. And I accept this behavior and this thing that's bugging me. I accept it. Here it is. It just is what it is. I'm not going to judge it. I'm going to radically accept it. And then what do you think happens to my psychology after that? I go from being frantic to find a way to fix something to peaceful and open to love. So radical acceptance of whatever sensations we are or are not having in our body during labor can significantly reduce our suffering, our perception of it as suffering. Okay, so I have a good friend who recently went through my labor pain remedy course as leading up to the birth of her second child. So she did all this work because the labor pain remedy gets into all of these things even in more depth. And I'll drop the link to that below for anyone who wants it. But she told me that even during labor, she, even though she had done all that work, like all that mindset work and like reframing and all of that, she still had some trouble in the moment, like not running away from it and finding that mindset that she was working so hard on. And she was really grateful because her midwives were able to kind of like remind her of those things in the moment. So another good practical tip for you might be to share with your husband or your birth team some of the most meaningful mindset shifts or truths about how you're going to manage pain and what pain is and isn't and sensations. Share that, share your paradigm, share your vision with your people so that they also can remind you of that in the moment. Or you might put them on affirmation cards on your wall, or you might record your voice speaking those things on a voice app on your phone and play it back during labor when you need it. So set yourself up for success by finding ways that you can reconnect with these truths about a positive mindset about pain, even when you're in the thick of it. And another thing is the more you practice it when you're not in the thick of it, the easier it will be to get there when you are in the thick of it, because our brain makes neural pathways. Like literally, it's like 2 tracks in our minds. Like the more we travel down a specific trail in our brain, the more apt our brain is to naturally default into that. It's like a 2-track, right? If you try to drive off the 2-track, it's hard to do, and your car wants to settle back into the 2-track. So make a 2-track in your brain of positive, different ways of thinking about the sensations of labor and birth by focusing on that, meditating on that, praying about that, speaking affirmations about that, focusing on that, focusing on Jesus' sufficiency for you in that space. Practice it, rehearse it while you're still pregnant so that it's a little easier to get there when you're in the thick of it during labor. And just wait to see what God will do. Avoidance of pain is not a good reason not to have a home birth. It's not a good reason not to have a natural birth. So don't let that be the thing that stops you. If you've been sitting on the fence about it, don't let that be the thing that stops you. Because there's joy on the other side of that, and there's reward on the other side of that hard work, the hard and holy work of birthing babies without numbing out from it, without disconnecting, without escaping, is formational for your character as a mom. It's an opportunity to know Jesus more. So, right? So that's a dumb reason not to have a home birth. Okay, sisters, you're amazing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments. Yeah, I hope you just know after listening to this that you can do it. You can do it. Oh, one more thing before you leave, if you don't mind. Like I said, I'm going to drop the link to labor pain remedy under this in a minute here, but I also wanted to let you know that I'm going to be opening up. I'm actually really excited about this. This is one of my little kind of impulsive inspirations that came to me the other day. I am going to be starting to do, I think, I'm going to try it once and see how it goes, and then I might do it more. I'm calling them coffee dates with Birthkeeper Brooke. So what I mean by this is I'm going to, like, on October 1st, it's a Friday, I'm opening up registration for anyone who is currently pregnant and planning their first home birth, whether it's your first baby or your fourth baby, I don't care, just first home birth, currently pregnant, to join me in a private Zoom call, and I'm going to limit how many people can come, to get from me like some of my like seasoned home birth mama tips, and then move into a Q&A, because I can't tell you how often I hear people like in this group, even they're posting, they say, I'm new to home birth, I want to do this, but oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed, I have so many questions, can anyone help me? And like, can I pick someone's brain? Like they want to, that phrase, pick your brain. Can I pick your brain? So I'm going to have coffee dates on Zoom where you can pick my brain. I think it'll be so fun. So anyway, I'm going to put a link to that. Actually, it's going to post a little bit later today too, but I can put a link below also. So if that's not you, but it's somebody that you do know who's planning their first home birth and just kind of has the questions and would like to have coffee with me virtually over Zoom, I would love, 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 love to have you or them there. So, okay, well, I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you for being here, and we will talk again soon. Bye.